All right, Ray's self-introduction speech. This is the outline episode. And I think my clock might chime here before I'm done, but that's okay. Uh, anyway, so here is the outline exactly as I had it in my hand when I did my presentation. Once again, it's 4 pages long. That's perfectly all right. Now, I gave it a title. You don't have to give your speech a title, but I gave it a title, Memories of a Special Book. All right, so let's look at the introduction. Remember, I told you that this speech presentation in particular is about developing a good, strong introduction and a good, strong conclusion. The body of the speech is basically just the story you want to tell us about whatever it might be. All right, so let's take a look at this. Now, I put, hello, my name is Ray Shabinsky at the top, but I didn't do that. Okay, this is my outline, so I can do it differently if I want. I started with the attention getter, the opening device. Remember, this is very, very important that you pull people into your speech. So even though I'd put my name first on the outline, after practicing it a few times, I decided to start with the grabber and then put my name in. So I actually started with, it's everyone's worst nightmare. But look at the way I abbreviate things here. It's everyone's worst nightmare. Smoke alarm. What would you grab? Okay. So I didn't write it out word for word. I said it something like this. It's everyone's worst nightmare. The smoke alarm goes off at 3 o'clock in the morning and you jump out of bed and think, the house must be on fire. I need to get out of here. And the second thing you might think is, what should I grab? That's not all there, is it? No. Okay. It's not an outline if you write it out word for word. Also, if you write it out word for word, what's going to happen? You're going to sit here with the script in front of you, looking down, reading it. And there's no spontaneity. There's no feeling of connection that develops when you just read something in front of you. All right, so you need to try to keep this abbreviated. Bullet point is a term that always comes to my mind. So anyway, I did the introduction, and then I said, hi, I'm Ray Shabinsky, and I want to talk about my love of books. Okay, then I used a quote. All right, now, when I did the lecture on developing your speech, I said you could use a startling statistic, a rhetorical question, a quote, whatever. Well, I did 2 just as an example. You don't have to. I did a grabber and then I also did a quote. The quote could be used as your attention getter as well. But I just threw them both in for the heck of it. All right. So then I previewed my main point, my love of books. I talked about my love of books. And then I said, I'm going to tell you about a great memory. And I did, you can go back and look at the video if you want. I did almost read this word for word. I looked down at it because I wanted to get it the way I wrote it. But it's just 2 sentences. All right. So I'm not reading the whole thing. But yeah, I did just about read this word for word. So what do we have here? We have number 1, the attention getter. Number 2, the credibility and central idea. My credibility is I love books. All right. Don't worry too much about credibility for this speech. Just tell us why you're giving the speech, and that's the credibility statement. And in this case, I also used a quote. All right, then I previewed my main points. I said I love books. It's that simple. And then I did a preview of what this speech is going to be about. Great memory and how I got the book. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. And then I did a transition. And I'm going to talk. Oh, here goes my clock. It's 5 o'clock as I'm giving this little presentation. The clock that's chiming is an antique Gustav Becker mantelpiece clock. It ain't worth much, but I fixed it up. I like tinkering with these things. and I like the bing bong sound of it anyway. So there. Okay, so I'll talk more about transition statements. Transition statements are really important because it lets people know that you're moving on, that something's about to happen. I call these bridge statements. So this is my bridge. I'm bridging from the introduction down into the body of the speech. Now, I didn't read this word for word. I don't know why I even wrote it all out, but there it is. There's my transition statement. I went and picked up my high school girlfriend, Mary, for a day trip into Chicago. Blah, blah, blah. All right. Now I'm moving into the body of the speech. In the previous video, I said you do not need to break this speech, the body of this speech, into point 1, point 2, and point 3. It's a one-point speech. It's just a story you're telling us. But I can't seem to help it. To me, all stories fall into the first part, a second part, and then a closing part. So I did that in the outline just to help me keep track of where I was in the speech. All right, so here's the first part. I was there to have a nice time with Mary. Okay, that was just a reminder of what I'm talking about. But then look what I did. I tried to create imagery in the mind of my listeners by using descriptive language. I said it was a beautiful spring day in Chicago, a light breeze, light fluffy clouds. So, I used some descriptive language. Don't be afraid of doing that. Let's say you're talking about a family trip and it was scorching hot on the day you went to Zion National Park. Use the term scorching hot or do something, but give us a feel. Try to create a little bit of a word picture with the adjectives that you use. Okay, so it was a beautiful day. Second part. All right, the walk down Michigan Avenue. I mentioned Art Deco buildings. But I don't want to break rule number 2, do I? Which is, it is never assume anything. I don't want to assume anybody that's listening to me knows what Art Deco is. All right. But I did say these beautiful Art Deco buildings along Michigan Avenue, they were built in the 1920s and 30s. All right. That was enough just to give you an idea of, I bet in your mind's eye, you imagine these towering, solid buildings, from that period. Okay. The bronze plaque. Books used in rare. Again, I'm just bullet pointing this. It's my story. Why should I have to write it out word for word? Okay, wanted to show off to Mary with antiques books. I was a book nerd already. Ride up to the 14th floor, and I described the beautiful brass and glass elevator. Again, trying to create imagery in the mind of my listeners. The apartment hallway, found the door. All right, the description of the old man. I'm not making this up. Again, I didn't write out. I'm not kidding. He looked like a character from a Charles Dickens story. Okay. I practiced this. I knew what I wanted to say, so I don't have to have it all written out. He asked me, "What are you looking for?" All right. So I was embarrassed. I couldn't think of anything. So I thought the first book that popped into my mind was The Time Machine. Okay. The Search. That's when I said, and then the guy went back into the back room again. We heard books falling, and he came out with the book. And I chose this point in the story to show you the book. I could have put in here, and I would have highlighted it in red, show book, just in case I got nervous and forgot to do it, which I did once in class. All right. So the book was $15. I had the $15 and I bought it. All right. So, and then the rest of the day went just fine. All right. So then the third part of the story, well, I went home and read the book. And I mentioned just a little bit about what the book is, but then I said that's not really why I like the book so much. It's because of the memories that are captured in that book. Okay, so I'm trying to stick with what I told you this speech was about. Let me roll back up here real quick. Memories of a Special Book. Okay, there you go. That's what this story is all about. All right, so bought the book. Yeah, okay, here I am. So another transition statement. Okay, then I said something to this effect. The book is not just a great story, but a link. But the link the book provides to my past. And I said something schmaltzy about, every time I open the book and leaf through it, memories come fluttering out of the pages. Oh, isn't that nice? I like the way I said that. All right. So there you go. And then the conclusion. Okay. I restated my thesis. Today I wanted to tell you about my love of books. Now I came to have a special book. All right. So then I reused Cicero's quote. I really believe, well, this isn't quite the quote yet. Quote's down here. Okay, and this is part of my restatement of my thesis. Uh, and I have the memories fluttering here for some reason. Uh, I really believe books have souls. And I looked down at my outline, and I didn't read it word for word, but pretty close. So I restated what this speech was about. Remember, in a 5-minute speech, people are going to forget what you said at the beginning of the speech. All right. And then my main point was I love books. And then I used that quote again. I'm trying to bring the speech full circle all the way back around to where I began. In fact, to make sure I did that, I read this pretty closely. I brought it right back to everyone's worst nightmare. Okay, it might not be your worst nightmare, but again, I brought it right back to the way I started the speech. That's the most powerful way you can end a speech, is to go back to with what you started. And how did I know I was going to do that? I wrote this first. Okay? Then I went back and did the everyone's worst nightmare. I hope you never have to decide, uh, you know, what to grab in time of danger. All right. So there you go. That's my speech, my little story. All right. You don't know where I was born. You can pretty well guess I was born at least 100 years ago, but that's not important. You don't know how many brothers and sisters I might have, but you know I love books. In a very short speech, I told you I loved books, and one book in particular. All right, so there's an example of the outline for, in this case, my speech. And then, of course, I was very careful to make sure I said, thank you for listening. All right, make sure you do that. Remember, again, people took the time to listen to you, whatever the situation might be. Let them know you appreciate that. Say thank you. All right, so there you go. Now, once again, I am going to provide you with a blank template, and it's pretty straightforward. It's the template I used for this speech. You'll find my actual outline in the Canvas files, and you'll find the blank template. Please feel free to use that blank template, copy and paste it, whatever you want to do, and use it to help you outline your speech. Don't waste time trying to figure out what the outline should look like. Here it is. Use it. It's yours. All right. So this should be helpful in the preparation of your speech. I want you to spend time developing your speech, not worrying about the format. I'm giving you the format right here. Some people tell me, Ray, I can create an outline, but I need to write this out word for word to start with. Fine. If you need to write out your speech word for word, go right ahead and do it. But then you need to take that full document and you need to go back in and create this kind of outline. Do not submit, remember, you have to send this to me as a Word document or a Google Doc. You have to create an actual outline. I don't want to see outlines with whole paragraphs on them. You've got to try bullet points, uh, little reminders. You can see that sometimes I highlighted things in red to remind me. It's easy to see as I'm giving the speech. So give it a try. By the way, the conclusion of this story is Mary and I broke up not long after that. I think she wanted the book and I wasn't going to give it to her. All right. So anyway, but the story still has a happy ending. I have the book. All right. So if you have problems trying to decide on a topic or a theme or whatever, email me and let me know, and I'll try to help you out. Once again, thank you for listening, and I hope you find this helpful. Watch for more videos and announcements. Take care.